Hey, welcome back to the garage, everyone. Well, I think I'm going to start this video off with a little bit of sad news, unfortunately. I regret to inform you that one of my old German cars has bit the dust. But it's not the Mercedes. Gotcha. Had you going there for a minute, didn't I? The little red Volkswagen, the injection pump, which is engine driven, decided that it didn't want to be that way anymore. So it basically imploded. And when that happened, the seal between the pump and the crankcase inside the engine decided it didn't want to seal anything anymore and allowed diesel fuel to flood the crankcase. And when that happens going down the road, bad things tend to go on. So basically it trashed the rings and destroyed the turbocharger. The engine runs, the car drives, but it basically idles and has like 10 horsepower and makes enough black smoke. I could coal roll with the best of them. Let's just leave it at that. I'm going to go ahead and keep the car though, and I'm going to repair it and hopefully make some videos on that at a later date, but I've got it in storage right now. So in the meantime, number one, college boy needed something else to drive, and here we have it. I've never actually owned a Toyota before. Which, anybody who knows anything about these particular cars realizes that really what this is a Toyota Matrix or a Toyota Corolla wagon, really. But what we have here is a 2009 Pontiac Vibe. And I was looking at some of Scotty Kilmer's videos, and he was, of course, you know, he's a big Toyota maniac, right? So there's that. But however, he did bring up this car, and when I watched that video, I don't know, a couple of years ago, about this Vibe, which prior to that, I'd never paid these cars any attention whatsoever. If you want a Toyota for Pontiac money, here you go. Here's the car for you. I just picked this up a couple of weeks ago. It's a fantastic little car. Got a couple of little cosmetic problems that I'm going to take care of. So I thought today we'd get it into the shop, take a look at the interior, open the tailgate, take a look at the engine, and a little later on we'll go ahead and get it on the lift, do an undercarriage inspection, and do an oil change, air filter, things like that. Just give it a good going over because it's going to be a member of the fleet for quite some time. I'm starting to shine on to this Pontiac. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and walk around our new little Pontiac Vibe and see what she has to offer. The body on this little Pontiac is pretty clean, although there are a few minor little issues, and we'll talk about those here over the next few minutes. There was a side impact on the driver's side, and I believe it was here and here. You can't see it in the video, but there is some signs of paintless dent removal where they got in behind there and with the little pokey tool. But the paint is good, so I'm not going to worry about it. Has all the hubcaps. Hey, that's a good news story. And they're original, although there's a few scratches here and there. I think I may put a little sandpaper on that and maybe paint those up so we get the hubcaps looking nice again. Look, I'd like for them to look factory and new. The black wheels behind there, the black paint is kind of faded and there's a little bit of surface rust there. I'd like to sand that down with a little wire wheel and paint it black. That might make that look a lot nicer. Have a nice little ground effect strip along the edge here. Not uncommon for a little small hatchback, but adds a little bit of sporty feel to the car. It has good tires, although they're Armstrong. You know, I don't really know a lot about that brand. I'll run them until I don't like them, and then I'll replace them, I guess. Around the back, nice little hatchback car. These rear taillights, you know, I suppose they'll grow on me, but I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of this silver stuff in there. I had a half a mind to try to black that out, but probably not. Just an idea I had. The badges on the car, the Pontiac badge. This one is faded and the one on the front is missing. So, however, I have a couple of those actually arriving in the mail today, so I might sneak that into the video and replace those while we're at it. Let's go ahead and raise the hatchback here. All right, we have a nice spacious rear compartment with tons of room, and the back seats fold down really easily. Just pull up the little button there, and you can have a nice wagon-like experience if you want. I think there's probably enough room back there to get a washing machine if you had to. The rear compartments are fairly convenient, and they are compartmentalized with these little nets here. And we have this little guy right here to fold out so that you can organize all your collectibles, whatever they may be. And under here is the spare tire. Had about 20 pounds of pressure in it. I aired it up a couple of days ago. It's got 50 psi in it now. And the jack looks like it's never been used. That is a good sign, so we'll lock that back. There's another small compartment underneath. This one is fairly shallow, but you have a place to hide stuff if you want. Plenty of hold down hooks back here for tying things down. And I believe this compartment here on either side opens up to service the tail lights if you needed to. Has a rear wiper and a washer. Has a satellite radio as well, which I'll never use, but there you go. Take a quick look at the interior. The seats are like iron. They are in perfect condition, and I don't think anybody's ever sat back here actually. Got some little pockets behind the seat backs here. And we have a, what is this? We got a couple of little cup holders. Over here on the passenger side of the rear, you'll notice a couple of levers on the back of the front passenger seat. You lift this guy up here, and that folds down pretty nicely. I suppose if you fold the back down and then you fold this down, you could get some really long items in the car. And plenty of warning, do not sue us type things here related to this feature, I guess. Put seat back to upright position by lever or switch, blah, 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 blah. Please do it properly or you will die. We've got two lights, one in the front, one in the back. Good illumination in the cabin. The only thing I can see wrong with the interior is some of the glue let loose on the door cards here. And it's the same way on both sides. I looked at a number of these cars online and they all have this problem. I don't think that's a huge deal. I could probably pop that off and re-glue it. That should not present a problem at all. We have a nice handy compartment here in the door, but I never use those because that's one of my pet peeves, is putting a bunch of crap in your door cards. That just drives me bonkers. Some people do it, but I do not. Let's plop into the passenger seat. These seats sit a little bit high. The driver's seat has a pumping-like lever and it goes up and down. And the glove compartment is spacious. And it comes with the, it's a kind of a good sign really, it comes with the full owner's manual. I believe this was a rental car in its early years. Dashboard is perfect, not cracked in any way. In the interior you can see, basically the only thing you can see that says Pontiac is the emblem, but really it just screams Toyota. This is a standard Toyota corporate radio. And also the air conditioning and heater controls as well. A very simple setup, just on off with the fan. Here's your rear window defog, circulation, front window defroster, temperature control, AC button, pretty standard Toyota stuff. And you can see the standard Toyota ignition switch over here as well. The shifter, everything about it screams Toyota if you are familiar with Toyota cars. To be honest, I've never owned a Toyota. I've never even owned a Japanese car before. However, we're going to call this an American car. Well, kind of. Up here we have a couple of little lights for reading the map, if you still do that sort of thing. And some vanity mirrors. Hey, they're good looking. And the driver gets one as well. Some grab handles in case, you know, things get a little dangerous. Over here on the driver's side, we see the that little issue with the covering as well. The gasoline door is, you get into it with this little lever here, pretty standard stuff. Again, the seats in the front are really nice. There's no tears or anything, but there's no floor mats. I've got some rubber heavy-duty ones on order. On the driver's side, you do have a power window. However, look at that, it went down. It hasn't been doing that. Every single time I've done that, it stopped like that far. You guys are good luck. I thought it was broken. That's weird. Why is that? Let's try that again. Let's see. All right. Something is in there going clickety clickety click. Well, whatever it is, it seems to have remedied itself, and I'm not going to worry about it any longer. All right, so from the driver's side, we have a little cubby hole here, and that looks like your traction control on and off. Electric mirror control here. Looks like the passenger side airbag. You can probably turn that on and off. I'm not entirely sure how to do that, maybe through the radio there. But you do have a AC 100, and interestingly it says 115 volt AC. What is this, 1945? We haven't used 115 in like 80 years, so that's kind of weird. Now down here where you can't see, you got a standard 12 volt port, and then there's your AC port right there with the cover. So if you wanted to activate that, just hit that button right there. I've got standard Toyota looking cruise control, blinker stalk, light switches, and wipers, rear and front washers clearly, all very standard stuff. Go ahead and fire it up briefly. And there we go. The dash is nice and easy to read. We have 212,003 miles on the little Vibe today. It's 60 degrees in the shop. Nice working weather. And the standard Toyota radio, there's no issues with it whatsoever. It's got a nice CD player. It doesn't have streaming capability, but we do have an auxiliary port. And we have flashers up there. You do have the OnStar system, which, you know, no one's going to use. I'm not going to pay the money for it, but it's there, I suppose, if you wanted to have it. This car is pretty doggone quick. Let me tell you what, it's got 158 horsepower, and I forget what the torque is, about 160, 170, something like that. But this little car will scat, and I'm not lying. This car is a quick car. That's pretty much it for the interior. Let's go ahead and pop the hood and take a look at that little motor. One other problem on the exterior of the car is the passenger headlight. It has a lot of moisture in it, so that is going to be replaced. You can get those on eBay for about 90 bucks. The only problem I have with the paintwork is it has some pits here. Somebody ran behind a gravel truck or something. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's going on here, but you've got a lot of pits here, and they have a little bit of rust in them. So really, I think what I'm probably going to have to do is I'm going to have to paint that hood. And here is where the front Pontiac emblem was, but we'll replace that shortly. Standard Toyota 2.4 liter 4-cylinder engine, 16 valve, variable valve timing apparently. Takes, let's see, 5W20 oil, which is what we're going to put in it today. Going to go with Mobil 1 synthetic, and we're going to do Wix filters. The coolant seems to be full and good to go. The transmission fluid, actually I serviced the transmission fluid 2 or 3 days ago, and it was pretty dark. Clearly it had never been done before, but I'm glad we did that. However, the transmission shifts just fine. There's no problems with it whatsoever. All of the coolant hoses and everything look good. There do not appear to be any oil leaks. We're also going to put a new air filter in it today. This looks like the computer, and that looks like the fuse box. There's one area over here where someone's made a repair to this light. This is clearly not stock. Something happened here, and this connector, you know, went bad or whatever, and they filled that up with goop. Looks like Permatex Ultra Gray, and reattached the wires. And it's a good repair. I'm not going to do anything with it. I'm just going to leave it alone. It's supposed to look like that one over there, but instead, it actually, they put another plug on the light. So that's the new plug there, and they wired it into the old one here. I'm not sure what happened there. I don't know what happened, but I'm not going to do anything about it because it works just fine. We've got the brake master cylinder back here, and the brake fluid appears to be between the min and max lines, so that's okay. The battery's good to go. It's fairly new. I think it's a 2021 model. You know, what is it with Toyota cars? Every time I look underneath the hood of a Toyota car, the battery terminals have green corrosion on them. Why is that? You know, every other car I've ever bought with standard big bulky top lead battery cables, I've never had that problem. But these Toyotas and the Nissans, the same way. So basically what I did was I took this off, cleaned it up, wire wheeled everything, and I've got some antioxidant goop I put on there, so we shouldn't have that problem anymore. And I cleaned up the positive terminal as well. And the oil is full and nice and clean. However, I don't know what the viscosity is, so I'm going to go ahead and change it today. It's not that I don't trust the dealer that I bought the car from. I did buy it from a used car dealer. I have no idea what oil is in that engine. So before the day is out though, I will know. In order to change this headlight out, pretty much this whole front cap has to come off of the car. You know, I watched the guy do it on YouTube. It doesn't look too bad. Just a few bolts and you could probably have this thing off in about 20 minutes. And then the changing the light out takes, you know, 2 minutes. I think you could probably do the whole job in an hour if you knew precisely what you were doing, but it'll probably take me 8 hours. But we're not going to do that today. All right, folks, let's go ahead and get this car in the other bay, get it up on the lift, do an undercarriage inspection, and let's do an oil change. All right, we'll start at the front and go to the back, I guess. First things first. Oh, okay, that's a tow hook, I guess. Hadn't noticed that before. So, nice substantial tow hook if you need it. We did a transmission service on this car a few days ago. Takes a big Allen here, and you got a nice drain plug on this transmission pan. I found that to be very convenient. This pan is actually really very solid. Got a new gasket on there clearly, and no leaks anywhere. We've got a little shiny here. That's just from me wiping it. But the gasket seems to have sealed up really nicely and have no problems with that at all. The undercarriage rust does not seem to be a problem, other than just your typical little bit of surface rust. I think this car spent some time in the rust belt, so I think that's probably what's going on there. You can tell by the brake calipers here, they got a little rust on them, but they work just fine. And there is some wetness right there. What is that? That's really greasy. Oh, okay, that's just where somebody lubricated the sliders on the caliper. Never mind. No leakage from the little half shaft axles there, and the struts appear to be dry, although I think they're worn out. They're a little bouncy. Little light on the action there. Take a look at our tie rod end, ball joints and whatever. Looks like somebody sprayed some grease or lubricant there. That's all that is, that little bit of wetness is. That's some spray lubricant that somebody put on there to, I guess, avoid corrosion. When I touch it, it's greasy. So let's hope that that there's no leak in the bearings, actually. Which, you know, you never can tell. That might be the case. There is some wetness here. I don't see any up in there, but I do see some right there. What is going on with that? A little bit of wetness right there. Maybe we'll take a wheel off and make sure we don't see any grease flying out of someplace. Continuing on with our little inspection here. The back side of the where the axle meets the transmission appears to be nice and dry. And let's see, control arms. Lower ball joint looks good. I don't see any breaks in the rubber. What about lower control arm bushings? I see some very minor cracking on some rubber in there, but, well, no, I take that back. Nah, they look good. A little bit of corrosion there on the control arm, not a huge deal. I got to spray some rust converter on that, should be just fine. We'll take a look at the passenger side. Again, I see the same, that's where somebody greased the sliders. A lot of corrosion on these calipers. You know, I may just replace those just because I don't like that rust. And again, I see the same greasy point right there. Somebody sprayed something on that. And I see a greasy point right there in a similar location to the driver's side. So that may be the result of some maintenance. I'm not sure, however. There's some grease right up there where that strut mounts to the wheel. So I think we're going to take the wheel off though and continue our inspection. No issues with the control arms. And the axles seem to be good. Looks like we have dryness. I don't see any leaks from the engine, and that's really nice. The exhaust system, intact. It's not bent. It's just a little rusty. And the hangers are in good shape and welded nicely to the bottom. Heat shield intact. That's good to go. And our, I'm assuming these are the fuel lines. And maybe the brake lines too. No, they wouldn't be the brake lines. I don't know what that is. These are some pipes with some fluid in it, and they go along this way, and they're not rusted, so I'm okay with that. And we'll move over here to the back. Take a look at the rear shock. Not rusted. Looks pretty good. Again, we have some surface rust in and around where the wheel mounts. Not a huge problem, but other than it bugs me a little. This caliper, I wonder if that was replaced. It's not rusted. Looks like the emergency brake cable there. I'm assuming that's what that is. And we have, what do we have here? The fuel delivery and venting system, I'm assuming. Not sure what that is. Is that a pump? No clue. No clue what that is. Not broken though, and it looks good. I don't know if the pump is in the tank. There's a tank right up there. There's the filler neck. And this caliper looks good as well. I wonder if these rear calipers were replaced. That's a good possibility, because you can see the dust shield there has got a lot of rust on it. I'd like to pull that off of there and sand that down and get rid of that corrosion. And the exhaust comes back, finishes up. No holes. Hangers back here look good. No signs of damage in the rear. All in all, I'd say the undercarriage on our little Pontiac Vibe looks really nice. I tell you what, let's go ahead and drain the oil. All right, we got a 14 millimeter. That's on there pretty tight. All right, I got myself a breaker bar here. I don't know why that oil drain plug is on there so tight. Man, was that entirely necessary? I'll have to look up and see what the drain plug spec is, I guess. Hopefully it's not ruined. There we go. I don't know how many miles are on the oil. Looks like it needed to be changed. All right, quick internet search there. It says 27 foot-pounds on the oil drain. So I think we'll do, let's see, let's do 25. I never used to torque the oil drain bolts when I was, growing up. I don't know why I do it now. I just like doing things differently now, I guess. We're gonna go straight to 27. And a tickle passed. All right, we're back. I had to go get myself a oil filter wrench that would fit this microscopic filter. It's 2.5 inches or 63 millimeters. Filter wrench pliers here, that seems to be doing the trick. All right, now I can get it with my hand. Well, that wasn't messy at all. Well, it looks like a micro guard. I think that's an O'Reilly brand, but we're gonna go with the wicks. Careful. This oil filter is not straight up and down. It's at a little angle, actually. So you want to be aware of that. And always just do my oil filters hand tight, provided you can get your hand in there. Now hand tight is relative. And with me, it's hand tight straining with all your strength. That's the way I like to do it. There we go. All right, hard part's over with. Let's go ahead and get this car on the ground, put some oil in it, get the level right, and then we'll change the air filter. All right, let's go ahead and take one of these wheels off just to give it an old sanity check here. And man, these lug nuts look, they look new actually. It's an interesting looking green color. Is that Toyota? See, I'm not familiar with Toyota cars. I've never owned one. It's not a Toyota, it's a Pontiac. I know it. That's a weird color. However, the brake rotors look to be in fantastic shape. I'm going to assume they all are. Yeah, I don't see any signs of grease or anything like that coming out. I think somebody got a little over exuberant with the anti-corrosion grease something or other when they did work on this car the last time. That's what some of that shiny stuff is. So I don't really see any issues with this at all. I did a jiggle test on a wheel earlier and I didn't feel any bearing play. The brake lines, they look really good. I don't see any cracking. Of course, the brakes work great. This strut actually looks good. It doesn't have any, well, I'll take that back. This part of the strut has a ton of rust on it. And oh yeah, okay, we do have, yeah, these are original to the car. So we have a rubber boot that is completely gone, and you can see the shiny bit back behind there. So, plus the car's a little bouncy anyway, so new shocks and struts is in the near future. And looking at my fender, looking at my fender skirts here, missing a couple of the little plastic doohickeys. That's probably, I think I just found my vibration. So when you put the car in drive, stationary, in park, you hear a little rattle. But the microsecond you give it anything off idle, it goes away. And I knew it was something loose rattling somewhere. I think I just found it. So that's not a big deal at all. I'm gonna put this wheel back on, get the car on the ground, put some oil in it. All right, gonna go with a 5W20 Mobile 1 synthetic. And I believe this holds 3.5, 3.8, something like that, quarts. But we'll put 3 in it and then measure it and see where we're at. I put some oil in the filter as well before I screwed it on there, so. If you don't have one of these big old red funnels, you need to get one. Where do we stand? Where do we stand? Let's see. What do we got? That's really annoying. You know, my Cadillac don't do that. When you put oil in the daggum thing, you can read it. It gives you a nice straight line across the dipstick. A lot of cars, you got to stick it in there 2 or 3 times because it'll make a big V, and you got to figure out, well, where is the oil level really? You know, where's the truth? And this is just above the minimum, I think. So we got to put another, not quite a half quart in it, I guess. All right, what we'll do is we'll fire the engine up and let it run for a short spell. And then we'll check, see where the level really is. Looks like that's about halfway between min and max. But we need some circulation first before the real story is told. Contact! All right. No low oil pressure lights of any kind. No error messages. That looks good. All right, we're gonna ready to let it run for about 20 seconds, and I'll shut it off and check it again. All right, let's see how well we did. That dipstick's hard to read. It may be just me though. Yeah, you see, you have this V in it, and there's no oil all the way down to just above the low mark. A lot of times when you take a dipstick and turn it upside down, you know, make it read the other way, you can read it more readily. Yeah, that seems to work out better actually. So we are about, you know, maybe a quarter of an inch above the low mark. I bet you that is just right on point. Yep, look at there, right on the full mark. That was a good guess, Harris. I'm calling that done. All right, let's move on to the air filter. All right. The little clips for the air filter are rusted. That tells me clearly this car spent time in Ohio or Illinois or someplace like that. So I don't know what brand of filter this is. If it doesn't say, it's probably a cheap one. Just guessing. It's actually pretty okay, but you know what? I just bought the car, so as a matter of good practice, just replace it. And actually, now that I look at a brand new one, it's so much nicer. Made in China. Come on, Wix, what are you doing to me? How much trouble is it to replace an air filter? All right, here's a handy tip for you. When changing the air filter on a Toyota 2.4, don't undo the hinge in the back, because that's a pain. All right, we're going to go ahead and change the Pontiac emblem. As you can see, this one doesn't do Pontiac very well, but this one does. And we have a genuine General Motors part from gmpartsgiant.com, and that's pretty cool. Have you ever done this before? No. How hard could it be? Just a sticky back piece of plastic. Pretty nice though, isn't it? Hopefully, no heat will be required. All right, I think I got it to release. There we go. All right, so I'm just gonna dab a little bit of acetone on the gluey part and soften it up a little bit. And I'll get my little razor tool here and we'll just ease that off of there. All right, I'm about done. Acetone, Goo Gone, and I finished it up with some Super Clean to get all that stuff off of there. And I'm gonna do a final little, basically a rinse with some regular alcohol. Make sure we have all the grease off and any other chemicals off of there. You know, you guys know I'm just making this up, right? Just making it up as we go along. There's a song in that, I'm sure, somewhere. That chrome's pretty, even though it's plastic. Let's stick her on there. Let's see. How shall we do this? I think we'll do it like that. And I think we'll start with the top. And once we get the top in there, both ends, it should just fall straight into place, in theory. Man, that's pretty. I wonder if there's any instructions. Probably just says, stick emblem on car, walk away. Okay. Well, I guess that's about it. All right, I think I'm gonna do the other emblem off camera, and I will be back in a little while. Well, all right, folks, so there you are. Brand new Pontiac emblems from gmpartsgiant.com, I believe the website name is. That looks pretty snazzy, if I do say so myself. That's a good looking front end on a car. I don't care who you are, except for that headlight. It's all fogged up. We got to change that thing out, but we'll do that another day. And there's the rear tailgate emblem, and it looks equally as nice. I am digging that a whole bunch. GM Parts Giant came through for us. All right, folks, that's all for now. I just wanted to go over this new addition to the Impelliman's Garage fleet, but this is clearly just a daily driver for number one son to go get himself some education. As always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And if you'd like to be notified whenever I release a new video, don't forget to click that little bell down below. You guys have a good one, and remember to enjoy driving your Pontiac.